Well, hey everybody, it's Chuck. I tell you, Tesla is keeping me busy trying to get videos out to you guys of first impressions on this new software. Last night, a new version dropped on the AI4 Model Y, 12.5.6.1. So this is a small point release on what I thought was an outstanding model that was driving really, really well. So obviously there must have been something they saw that needed a point release, but let's see how this one does. I've got my same first impressions drive in here that I did yesterday on the Cybertruck on 12.5.5.2. So if you hadn't seen that, it did really, really good, but definitely some differences. Here's our first unprotected left. There's our NHTSA stop. Let's get a nice smooth creep. And we need to wait. Okay, we got a nice little gap here, and it's clear to the right. So this is going to be a good roller if it commits right now. Perfect. No noticeable question mark. And a roller all the way through. Nice job. So I think that was a good one. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick U-turn and then come back around. I'm going to film the U-turn on the second one so I don't mess my route up. Okay, that's one unprotected left. Nice job. Stick with me. All right, here's unprotected left number 2. Opposing traffic. We just missed that opportunity to get that filmed. And there's our NHTSA stop and our creep. And let's see what we got here. Okay. Wide open to the left, but not from the right. So we need to pause in the median. Give me a good pause and a good position. Okay, don't jump there. Don't jump. Okay, I'm disengaging. It jumped in front of traffic that it shouldn't have jumped in front of. I don't want to say this repeatedly happens because the situation doesn't always present itself. But what it did is it jumped out into traffic that's moving very, very fast, and it tried to stay in the adjacent lane. And that's not what I want it to do. I don't want it to have cars come up and possibly rear end me or very rapidly approach. If you're going to jump out in the lane, you either got to go to the middle lane where they aren't because you're forcing them over. I don't know if that's a visibility issue or not. Okay, here's our U-turn here. Did this yesterday in the Cybertruck, and a scenario kind of created itself where a oncoming car jumped out and we kind of had a slow interaction in the road. Wheels turning, not a safe thing to do right now. If I got rear-ended, it would push me into the lane. Don't go, okay, if you go there, you better, okay, all right, disengaging for the slow commit. Disengaged in U-turn for slow commit. So this car right here that's adjacent to me now was just rapidly approaching too fast for me to do this very slow, nonchalant U-turn. You can't do that. You either got to wait till it's completely clear, and maybe the car thought it was completely clear. I don't know. We'll have to look at the screen to see if that car was even mapped. But, you know, U-turns are dangerous in high-speed cross traffic. You can't just go out there and expect everybody to stop for you. They should, but you shouldn't be jumping out in front of those cars. You got to wait till it's completely clear, or you got to go to a traffic signal to do a U-turn where you're protected. An unprotected U-turn is arguably more dangerous than an unprotected left-hand turn because you have to measure radius of turn. And if you mismeasure your radius of turn and your speed, then you end up in a scenario where just pressing the accelerator doesn't even bail you out. You have to do a reverse 3-point turn maneuver or jump over the curb or something else dangerous. So anyway, that was a little disappointing. I don't think that was probably any different than the last version, 12.5.6. I think that was just a high-density traffic scenario. I guess what I would comment on is just that I've said this over and over many times, that I feel like sometimes FSD drives in kind of a myopic nearsighted state. I'm looking with my retinas and my eyeballs at a range much, much further than I think the car is inferring vehicles. And I'm like, just wait a second and you're going to be able to do this. Instead, it sees a gap and goes for it. But in a maneuver like a U-turn, you don't have the available acceleration to commit like you do on the unprotected left. In the unprotected left, you can floor it and get to the median. In the U-turn, what you just did there, and I'm using you to anthropomorphize what the car is, you committed, and then you slowed down to measure your radius of turn to complete the maneuver. And this fast-coming traffic was approaching. That's not when you slow down. As a human, I would have made a decision. I could have gone in that gap, so the gap was large enough. But as a human, I would have measured the radius of turn, been comfortable with the vehicle that I was driving, and I would have turned the steering wheel hard over. As soon as I was straight enough, I'd have floored it. I didn't feel that. I felt it slowing down and measuring its rate of turn with a very uncertain trajectory coming out of the vehicle. So anyway, that was kind of a long one on U-turns, just because the situation manifested itself in kind of a unsafe way, and I had to do a disengagement. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I'm doing the exact same drive I've done for the last few times with this car. And look, we got a green light here and we're slow rolling it. If there was somebody right behind me, they'd be like, why weren't you going for it? That's just the way the car works. It's not going to accelerate for a green light like a human might. But that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, you get somebody in a hurry behind you, they might not understand why you are slow rolling a green light. Anyway, I'm doing this same drive that includes highway, because now we are in end-to-end on the highway. And I'll go back here and show the settings again. We have these full self-driving speed profiles. These speed profiles of chill, standard, and hurry are only available on the highway. And you'll see up here in my upper left-hand corner, I don't have those words chill, standard, or hurry. This offset that is over here, and I'm talking while we're at the light, this max speed offset of 40%, this doesn't mean I want to go 40% over the speed limit, but what this means is up to 40% over the speed limit is available to the vehicle up to a maximum of 85 miles an hour, which FSD won't ever violate at this time, for the speed limit. So if the speed limit was 40 and we were on a highway, it could, go 40% higher than that, so that would be 32 miles an hour over, right? 4 miles, no, 8. Yeah. Anyway, that's how public math on camera is not ever good. Should be getting a green protected here. Yesterday, the Cybertruck missed this. Just want to kind of verify the Model Y gets it. When that red arrow goes green, I want to feel a nice solid commit curve going over the railroad tracks to the left. I do hear sirens in the distance, but don't see any lights. There's our green and a commit. Okay, so the Cybertruck missed that light. Model Y did it, so maybe some differences in the camera placement or the inference or the colors or something. Can't really say what, but just to measure some differences. I don't know. If it wasn't that one I caught yesterday on the Cybertruck, I know there was a different one I did catch on the Cybertruck yesterday, but that has been missed by the Cybertruck before. All right, there's our NHTSA stop here on this stop sign. We got a creep to get a view around these bushes and then a commit. That feels really good. And here we have some speed bumps and we're in narrow roads. And I'm going to pull up the camera just for narrow roads. And there's a nice slowdown for that speed bump. We're going to have a couple cars to interfere with. And we have trash cans over on the right too. You can see in the camera on the lower right how close the tire is getting. It's not getting very close. It's fine. That car kind of gave me a little bit more room. He even went in the grass a little bit. There's my stop, and I should proceed. No problems here. The car is doing just fine on these narrow roads these days. Ever since version 12, it's been very, very natural. You can see I'm kind of giving that speed bump there. It missed it. So I'm going to just kind of hit the recording there without a disengage. Sometimes it sees those speed bumps, and sometimes it doesn't. Even though they're painted with arrows, some of the arrows are worn. It doesn't always get them and slow down. Have a person putting out his trash here. Didn't interact there. I thought if he was up closer to the road, he might have seen something. And one more car with the camera up. Yeah, I would have given, if I was driving, a little bit more room to the right just because they were kind of squeezed. I was kind of being a little bit of a road hog. But it did it fine. At least it was confident and it did not flinch like it used to do. It was a little close for my liking there on that car. Okay, in this intersection, we have a suicide lane that the car usually, to this point, has not waited in the middle of a suicide lane. Suicide lane meaning it's not a raised median, it's just a painted median. The car and the truck also does this, waits on both sides to be completely clear before it will proceed. It's just the way this has been programmed. It's interesting to think how, the Tesla engineers engineered this completely differently based on just the fact of a raised median not being there. And if you look further down to the left, maybe you can see that in my 360 view. There is a raised median a little further to the left, but just not right in front of me. Sometimes this time of day, we've just got to wait on traffic. Now, here I am clear to the left, but I'm not clear to the right. Is it going to go? Oh, it's going. Okay, where is it going to wait? Oh my gosh, it's waiting. It's waiting. I'm looking, this is a dangerous one. Okay, I'm looking back because I've got a car in front of me and I'm just gonna kind of show you what I've got. It's waiting for the first time, but it's got a car in front. Is it gonna jump? It jumped, okay, and that truck behind me jumped in. Whoa, my head was everywhere on that one. That was the first time I've ever seen it wait in a suicide lane, and I don't know if it's just the way the situation developed or if it actually has a new function, but it did it perfectly. I was not confident in its ability to do that because I've never seen it do that before. So, hey, Tesla, if you added waiting in the suicide lane, good on you. I felt like I was in the lane. It didn't scare me when it was going to jump, but I wasn't sure that it had ever been able to do that. So, all right, there's a little highlight clip. Possibly new functionality with waiting in a suicide lane. Don't know if that was emergent from version 12 or not, but it's good to see because once you committed, that's what you had to do. You crossed the lane and then had to wait. I don't think it was even faked into committing. It was solid traffic from the right. You guys can probably comment below on what you think about it saw based on the cameras. All right, I've modified my route. We're doing a right-hand turn here. You're probably seeing me look everywhere. I'm looking at every camera, every view before it changes lanes to see how the situation is going to develop, hopefully before it actually happens. And then a nice smooth turn. Once we make this turn, we've got a nice kind of little, just a 2-lane highway. We might have made, no, I think we missed the school zone time again. Nice smooth turn. I do want to make one comment about the turns. Yesterday on the Cybertruck and before the first iteration of FSD on the Cybertruck, it was missing turn radiuses, sometimes going into the wrong lane. I think going into the wrong lane was just a product of it missing the turn radius and it ending up in a lane, and then it saw it, it just stayed in that lane. The Model Y has not done that in a long time, at least for me. I know some people probably will say it has. But on this version yesterday, there was a noticeable difference of a correction being applied to the radius of turn. It was smoothly turning, and then it kind of noticed something and it jerked a little bit to fix it. It wasn't a natural trajectory. We did hit the school zone. This is awesome. Flashing red, or flashing yellow, school zone 15 miles an hour when flashing. Now granted, I've got a truck in front of me that's managing this, and now here's the end of school zone sign. So I did slow down to 18. I don't see anything different on the speed or visualizations here to say that it knew it was in the school zone. I do think that the truck, the Suburban in front of me did actually slow down for me. I'm sorry, that's a Yukon. Oh well, that's a good scenario. Maybe one day I'll hit it just right and we'll verify for sure that it does not know how to slow down for school zones. I have seen some video where the symbology changes with like a little clock on the speed limit. In no way is that being read. I think that's map data on the map layer that's being visualized. So if it is mapped as a school zone with a time of day that you're in, I think you might see that on the speed limit sign. Yeah, so anyway, I was back to the turns. The Model Y is turning smoothly. The Cybertruck is turning smoothly, but then correcting and jerking when the radius of turn is perceived as being wrong. That seems to be just somehow the training being done on like an agnostic vehicle that isn't the Cybertruck, isn't the Model Y, and how the translation of the vectors are being applied to the car. James Dowman and I had a conversation about it at dinner in San Francisco with JD AI Driver. Late on Sunday this week, and it really just kind of, I'm starting to think about this as I drive, how if we're training an agnostic model, how it can be so smooth on one and not on another truly is the translation table of the training into the control. So this is what we have to have in place if this software is ever licensable to another OEM, right? We're not going to just be able to go grab gobs of data for a vehicle that hasn't been in the fleet. And it's a brilliant approach if it's solid and can be worked. So as we get more and more data for each of these vehicles added, obviously the agnostic training should be a little bit more flexible. But anyway, just so you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking about when I mention things like that turn is a lot smoother than the Cybertruck, or the Cybertruck was not. It was adjusting with kind of a jerky motion. The jerky motion should not be coming out of the training data. That is something else that's being applied, and didn't happen here on the Model Y. So far, with the exception of perhaps the U-turn logic, and I don't know how to necessarily knock this build for that. I don't think that is this build. I think that's just kind of where they are on the functionality of implementing it. And jumping out in front of traffic, I've seen that on every single build, so that's not a knock on this 0.1 release, and shouldn't hold any of this from being released wider, in my opinion. Coming up here in just a bit, you can kind of see on my map here, and I think I can go ahead and edit this route now, and delete Wilson Boulevard, because I should be able to jump on the highway now. Yep. And we'll try, right now it's in hurry mode, and I'm going to leave it in hurry, and I'll show you a little bit of the changes if we have time. Once we get on I-10, it'll probably be a little bit more bumper to bumper. I do want to kind of comment on the weather this morning. We do have a foggy morning. This is not fog that would obscure visibility inside of the range of the cameras. Here's a good example. I'm looking up there at that intersection and the overpass, and you can see it's not being visualized at all. I'm only looking about 4 cars ahead on the visualization, which is about that stoplight. And if you look, the stoplight is just coming in now, and I'm looking way, way, way beyond that. So yellow light, just measuring the decel curve here. That was good. The camera's range is just, it is what it is with the way they're able to use these on the AI4 5 megapixel cameras, and the bag of points with the photons hitting the chips and turning it into its vector space in the occupancy network. The range that it has is the range that it has. But these NHTSA recalls, not NHTSA recalls, these NHTSA investigation that just started has something to do with low visibility. Heavy rain, fog, and possibly even smoke. There was 1 fatality and several injuries in the 4 accidents that were highlighted. But, you know, here we are out driving in this scenario today. I do kind of want to comment. I don't think this is the fog they're talking about. FSD doesn't have any issues in this level of visibility. As a pilot, I would call this about a half-mile visibility. You learn to be able to predict how far you can see your runway or your taxi lights. You can even count the runway and taxi lights on a runway to precisely measure the current visibility to determine if you have your minimums for takeoff or your necessary takeoff alternates. And all of these things pilots worry about when we are taking off or landing. Okay, the Cybertruck did not stay in this merge lane yesterday. It was over 1. The Model Y stayed in that merge lane and came over at the last minute. And we are clearing the left lane to join traffic, and it should do this without any hitch. But I do want you to look at the upper left-hand corner of the screen. These are the speed profiles coming in now. I'm in hurry mode. Hurry mode, as told to me by Phil Dewan, is just sort of exactly what it says. It's going to do lane changes. It's going to try to stay ahead of the traffic up to its max. And its max you can't see right now, but don't forget, you set its max right here as max speed offset of 40% faster than the speed limit. Obviously, with a 65 mile an hour speed limit, the car is choosing 74 right now. That's obviously higher than the speed limit, but less than 40%. But it's very aggressively using a good speed that's even passing cars in the middle lane here in hurry mode. I think that's noteworthy. I do have a turn coming up here in 1.4 miles, but I'll show you here. If I use the right scroll wheel to the left, I just went to standard. If I go to the right scroll wheel, there's chill. That is how you change these speed profiles back and forth. But in chill mode, it should generally not do a whole bunch of lane changes or slow down. But look at that. Even in chill mode, it's accelerating around a car in the right-hand side. That is the perfect example of this is not the old minimal lane changes, even though it's the closest thing to it. So even in chill, it's allowing 4 miles an hour over, controlled by the car in front, and then there's the blinker to get back over to the right. So I did an 80-minute video just on this on 12.5.6. I think it's probably going to be mostly the same, so I'm probably not going to need to do a whole nother 120-minute video. But I'm just going to go back into hurry mode so we can kind of see if anything changes. I didn't feel any acceleration or bump up to 70 or 74 or anything like that going into hurry. So kind of in constrained traffic, I think it's just logic. But now that I'm needing to take this off ramp here, I need to edit this trip real quick. Guys, you are keeping me busy. All right. And now you can see on the map display, we are going to get into some stop and go traffic. I will try to leave it in hurry mode for that stop and go to see if it's kind of overly aggressive to kind of try to weave through the traffic. I don't think that's going to be the case. but it will be something we can perhaps check out here in this early morning rush hour. Gosh, there's just so much to talk about driving these, especially in comparison to multiple versions using end-to-end. The Cybertruck is just such a different beast, but when I jump in the Model Y, it works, it feels like it works so much better. I don't know that it's necessarily working all that much better, but in the Model Y, it's just, you're smaller, you have less mass to move around the road. Everything is just, I don't know, a little smoother. There's a blinker getting over in this middle lane of 5 lanes here, so and getting out of those exit only lanes, and there's another lane change. So I would feel like this is kind of in the hurry mode. And look at that, I'm in a 55 right now, at least posted. Oh, look at it, it's going all the way to the left lane. That's hurry mode for you. Pegging 70 miles an hour out. Now, just since I've got this scenario, I'm going to very quickly go to chill. And let's see if it says, whoa, okay, now I'm in chill mode. But look, it stayed in the left lane. It didn't do any aggressive maneuvers. There's a little lane shift due to construction. But now I'm in chill mode. Look, and there's the blinker. Hey, let's get out of the passing lane. And interestingly, the car right behind me is a police car with, and even a truck stopped here. Now, that would be interesting to know if it moved over for the truck or for the chill. 2 scenarios there at the same time. But now and I have 3.2 miles until I continue my turn. So this lane change had nothing to do with my turn. That was purely a changing of profile, but very smoothly. I don't know. I don't know what my favorite profile is yet. I think it's probably going to be standard, just so I can kind of play with it. Some people are probably going to say, no, just leave it in hurry. But it goes around traffic in both chill and hurry mode. So you kind of get the best of both worlds a little bit. Phil Duan at the We Robot event in LA did pull me aside and talk to me for about 45 minutes about 12.5.6. And he was really interested to get some feedback on the speed profiles and whether or not I thought they were working as advertised or as you expected. He expected I was going to be really happy with it. And I have to tell you, to this point, I really am very happy because they seem to be malleable, not rigid, if that makes sense. They're even in chill mode, it'll go around slow traffic. It's not just kind of locked and loaded to stay in the slow lane. It doesn't seem to be lane specific as much as maybe it's speed or speed window specific. Those of you that are pilots that watch my channel, we have a vertical mode of navigation and speed that uses what's called a managed speed mode. Managed speed means, listen, you've got to fly the airplane and we've got to make this descent, but we don't know what your tailwinds are necessarily, or we don't know whether or not you're going to be asked to, meet a constraint. And it allows the airplane to fly within a certain speed window in order to manage its descent down through some constraints. That managed speed mode is a little bit what it feels like on some of these profiles, or maybe any of these profiles, especially when we have an offset here that we can adjust. It feels like I'm giving the car a window at speed, and then do what you need to do to kind of stay inside of that window. The chill window is probably lower than the hurry window, and the standard window might be in the middle and broader, but it gives the vehicle a range of speed to work with before it decides to make a maneuver or change. It's a good logic philosophy to fly with in an airplane because, of course, you've got 3D of vector space to move around. But the vehicle, obviously, with its auto throttle, or we call it traffic aware cruise control or speed control, needs the same sort of variable to allow it to manage its way through traffic. Anyway, a little bit of a side clip there to tie in some aviation. Some of you might enjoy those analogies and comparisons that I have. But all right, here we are in traffic, and I want to look at the occupancy network over to the right-hand side. If you see these little leaf pile looking things, those used to be identified as cones, but these are actually the barrels, if you see lined up here. These they look like little piles of trash. That's an actual visualization from the occupancy network of something. They have just decided to not tie an asset or an icon or an image to those occupancy network items, maybe because maybe they're saving memory and they don't have a barrel icon, because I know they have a cone icon, but maybe not a barrel icon. Or maybe they're just not spending the compute to actually identify or infer what they are and assign anything to them. They're just saying, but I know they're there. Sometimes when you drive in like a neighborhood, And the trash cans are out. We used to have a trash can icon. That's actually gone too, and has also been replaced with this little occupancy network blob. And like you see this little sign up here, it does have wheels on it. It does have a big sign, but the asset that the computer model is attached to it is a car. Even though that is very clearly not a car to you and me, that's what they decided to attach to that model. It was probably the wheels that made the model give a probability to assign that asset to it. Anyway, while we're going into stop and go, I thought that would be interesting because there's so many things being shown to us on the screen. And over the years, they've added things to the screen and then pulled them back. And we've kind of said, oh, I really wish it was there. Like another good example is speed bumps. They used to visualize speed bumps. They don't do that anymore. I really wish they did because we're still kind of in the learning stages of speed bumps. And I think being able to see that the screen sees them kind of gives me the confidence it's going to slow down for them. But maybe they weren't 100% confident in seeing them all the time, and they decided to just not even show them because being 50% right isn't always a great plan. And we saw in that narrow road scenario earlier, it slowed down for some of the speed bumps and not others, which probably means it's still not seeing all of them. All right, while we're in this traffic, I'm just gonna, wow, as soon as I put it in hurry mode, it put that blinker on. That's pretty interesting. It did that on the highway, but I didn't expect it to do it so quickly. As soon as I went in a hurry, it jumped into this middle lane from the right lane. Even though I'm turning right next in about 1.8 miles, according to the planner. Didn't get into the far left lane. There's room for it to do that if it wants. I wouldn't get in that left lane in traffic just because up ahead I've still got some more yellow to go through and I don't want to have to fight my way back over to the right. Let's see when it decides in hurry mode to actually get into the right lane to take the exit. Because another one of the features that we definitely did see in 12.5.6 and is in the release notes is earlier and more natural lane changes. In previous versions, and many of you are still driving these versions, so I understand your frustration. It is waiting to the very last second, possibly even 0.2 on the planner before it'll get over to make a lane change. And in heavy traffic, sometimes you get a queuing of cars that are trying to, take the right, and the Tesla will just continue on down the line and fight its way over. That's a big debate in driving theory about whether or not you should use the maximum number of lanes and create a zipper at the end. I get all that. And every locality is different on their maybe courtesy or technique or whatever. But the earlier and more natural lane changes is getting over sooner than it is on the older versions, even 12.4.1 and 12.3.6. It doesn't get over earlier. So it'll be interesting to see in hurry mode, while it may have a bias to be in this left lane going faster, does it still have the impetus to get over for the right-hand exit? So right about now, we're 0.6. I'm starting to think there's a gap in front of this van. I might get in front of that van. This middle lane, okay, I'm going to continue past that. I'm going 54 and a 50, but I do need to find my next opportunity. Got a truck and a trailer up here. In my mind, I'm like, I either need to be in front of those or behind them. Now I've got solid white lines, and there's the blinker. It found a spot, crossed a solid white line to do it, and I need to get over, I believe, one more lane, and there's the blinker, and it's working its way over. So the other thing I've noticed in 12.5.6 is it doesn't turn its blinker over while it's looking for a spot. It kind of turns its blinker over when it's found a spot and can move over. And there's one more to get over in this exit lane. Really nice job on this interchange. Now here we are. This is that very, very dense interchange. I-95 and I-95 and I-10. The other end of LA is highway. And I'm just watching what's going on. This is very good. I'm in the perfect lane. I'm going straight through here. It's a 50 mile an hour speed limit here, but the cars go much, much faster than 50. And you can even see I was constrained by that car. And look at it, it's speeding up to 58, 59. This is really, really good. You cannot go too slow here. It's just dangerous. I'm not saying go, 70, but don't go below the speed limit, and obviously try to stay with the flow of traffic, especially while making lane change decisions. And there we go. If you notice, the hurry mode is off. We are off highway. We made our off ramp. That was end-to-end highway in traffic. The lane changes were good. Guys, these speed profiles are rock solid. I think everybody's going to have their own preference on what speed profile they like, but I think there's enough flexibility in all of them that it's really, really good. Green arrow, solid. It was protected the whole way, and then we're taking a right up here, and we're there. Yeah, I don't have that highway mode is just, going in was a long wait. We were on version 11 using that heuristic code for so long, and we were just always wondering, are they having a problem? Is there an issue with highway? It's working so good in city streets, or there was such a leap change when we went to end on some of our problem areas in city streets. Why didn't they go highway quickly? And then it finally came on 12.5.6 and 12.5.5 on the Cybertruck, and it's working out of the box really, really good. Speed control is definitely one of the things people were worried about because it's still not working perfectly in city streets. And I think we need a version of these speed profiles in city streets. You possibly can use the same names. I don't see any reason to change the names. I think I would leave mine in standard in city streets, and I would expect it to use that same logic, albeit different speeds and different speed windows probably, in city streets on whether or not I should stay in my lane or try to pass slower traffic. So I expect that's probably is what's coming next in city streets is to bring these speed profiles down and get rid of that auto max, because auto max is just creating so much frustration for so many people on these previous versions. But you see, we don't have auto max here, so that is gone. But my speed constraint is now based off of that 40% that I set on the speed limit. Right? So 10% of 35 is 3.5, so 20 is 7. So I've got a 14% max right now. So my auto max is basically, 44 right now with a posted speed limit of 30. It's not showing it. It's not giving me a control here. Look, pedestrians jaywalking very slowly and cautious. He was on the curb. Didn't overreact, slowed down to 20. Right through the jaywalkers. So another nice clip there, Tesla. That was good. Handled it without overreaction, which is very, very natural. It used to really, really worry about those pedestrians on the curb when they'd have a foot over the curb. Now it's measuring intent. I do need to get out of this lane. And as soon as I say that, it's like it's reading my mind. I don't know if it sees the paint or it realizes it's got this turn-only lane measured and put the blinker on. That big truck right behind me, it just worked. Another good one. I'm going back to my other point. The version 11 and prior, it used to really worry about pedestrians on curbs that didn't have any motion. Now they are very accurately measuring the trajectory of the VRUs, vulnerable road users, pedestrians, bikes, things like that, to the point that it doesn't overreact anymore. And it's so, so natural. Here you got some yard folks working with their weed eaters and things like that. Didn't overreact to them. Didn't even highlight them as blue. We got a truck here that's a little creeped out really, really far. A car here. Am I going to let him go? It's going to look, it's letting him go. This is awesome. It's kind of giving him a chance to go. And now he waved at me and I'm staying here. Is he going to go or am I going to go? I'm just going to let this play out. It let him go because of the distance of his creep, and now I'm going to proceed. Don't wait too long. Don't wait too long. Okay, I almost needed to press the accelerator there. It almost was too cautious. I'm sure that annoyed some people behind me, just by the way it played out. Truck's kind of in the lane here. Do you see this? But I'm turning left here. It even used the gore section to go around him so I can turn the blinker here and go into this road. This is just really doing good, and a pedestrian there. I'm talking like a mile a minute just to let you guys see everything that's going on here. I'm going to let this go down. I'm going to exit that. Hopefully this will come through. There was a whole lot that just happened back there in that last minute of video. If you didn't understand everything I was saying, you need to go back there and look at it because, okay, it's trying to do its... it was going to park there, even though I deleted the point. So I disengaged just because of the navigation, not because it did anything wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and re-engage. And we're going again. There was the interesting behavior I want to talk about was how it was that car had jutted out to an uncomfortable position. We have all seen that, the creep. He was forcing his way into traffic. I don't know that the Tesla was being as courteous as it noticed he was in the intersection and just waited. There were some gaps where he could have gone but decided not to, and there was traffic queuing up behind me that was probably getting annoyed. You know, because sometimes as a human, you give a guy a chance to jump in traffic 1 or 2 times and then you continue because, hey, you gave him a chance, but he didn't make it. The Tesla just patiently waited until he could make it, and then it slowly proceeded afterwards. As a human, I felt like, okay, I waited long enough. I wanted to go a little bit quicker, but either way, if I was in the back of a robotaxi and the car was doing that, I wouldn't have had a problem in the world. All right, a lot going on here at this turn. We're back at that intersection with this gas truck that's actually got in the road. We've got a clear to the right, and you can see clear to the left. I've got in an oak tree. I've got to look around, but now it's clear. But I've got to jump into a lane and immediately avoid a parked truck. Smooth as butter. It's even going over the yellow line into the gore section and coming on around. Flawlessly executed. Really, really good there. So I think that is just something worth noting, that the smoothness of some of these behaviors, even to the extent of going over lines, jutting out into the lane, is just feeling really, really natural. That's just emergent, I think, from the data set. I don't think this is being programmed. It just feels like it's the end-to-end network making these decisions. It's not calculated at all as a driver sitting here in the car. Wow, if I were to think back over this drive so far, any issues that I would want to raise, I don't have any that are about this build so far. I don't notice anything necessarily that has changed from 12.5.6 either. I haven't felt anything different. The speed profiles felt the same. Traffic felt good. Everything feels smooth. The very difficult high-speed cross traffic stuff we talked about at the beginning of the video is there, but I don't think that's about this point release at all. Okay, on this section of road, it's kind of the stop-and-go traffic, but what happens is these neighborhood streets, you get cars coming out and trying to, come from this lane and cross and get across this traffic without a traffic signal. Yesterday, we had one on the Cybertruck where there was a car coming out of the hospital, and unlike that vehicle back behind where it was jutting out in the intersection and the Model Y waited, the Cybertruck chose not to wait. It asserted its traffic flow through and kind of made that car in an uncomfortable lane. I think it was right up here, not be able to cross. VRUs over here on the right hand side, patiently waiting, not jaywalking, not even identified as dark gray. So another example of how it's handling these VRUs right on the corner just fine. All right, we're going to be taking a left here, then a right. Needs to get in the left lane nicely, smoothly does that. It's unprotected green here right now, so there's no arrow, but we do have the green. So if it goes for a gap, it's got to go quickly. I was thinking it might go for that with an acceleration, but it decided to smoothly wait. Nice smooth turn. It should go straight into the right lane. Smoothly into the right lane. You can see that trajectory jump a little bit. And then now we're green, right-hand corner here. No problems with that trajectory. Nice and smooth. Parked cars to go around that are in the lane. Yeah, I'm in a cab right now. Once I got on the road, I feel like I'm in a cab. Getting out and onto the road, sometimes I'm not quite so comfortable with that yet. But once I'm on the road, I could be very comfortable with all of these decisions. All right, here in about an eighth of a mile, we got a flashing yellow light. A lot of you are having issues with flashing yellows. I don't have issues with these flashing yellows. Maybe it's the design of the lights. Maybe it's my training data. I don't know. But if you notice, these lights are right here. They're single yellow lights, not full traffic lights. But the asset they're using is a full traffic light. And even though it shows that it's red sometimes on the screen, it obviously isn't treating it as a flashing red. So somehow the training data is differentiating these lights. Maybe it's map data. Maybe it's being done through the visualization. I'm just not sure. Coming up on Avondale here in a little bit, where we get a little bit of morning kind of pedestrian traffic and some angled parking spots. Yesterday we talked about the angled parking spots are still not a part of auto park, and I think that's worth a few minutes on this video. The auto park uses perpendicular spots right now, and it's primarily, I think, because of the angle that the camera needs, perhaps when it's coming out. You know, we got 180-degree cameras up here. The B-pillar doesn't have great visibility when it's coming out of a tight parking space until it clears the car or truck next to it. And maybe perpendicular, you know, you got your wide-angle cameras both on the front and the back. Okay, we have an emergency vehicle on the other lane, so I really don't need to do anything, but is there any symbology on here to talk about emergency vehicles? It's just displayed as a truck. I don't see anything slowing for emergency vehicles there. I didn't hear a siren, so it didn't have any audible nature. It was just the lights. Car door open here. Do you see that? She's jumping out of her car. A little bit of room, but not too much room. Did not freak out. Another great VRU interaction. She kind of saw me coming. I didn't stop necessarily, but I did go hard over to the left side of the lane. These VRU interactions have gotten so much smoother. I probably would have gone even more than the car did there, but it didn't. These are those angled parking spots. You see that truck just came out, and see how it's easy as anything to pull into. It's the getting out that gets a little bit tricky. And I think that's why AutoPark isn't doing it yet. I do think the Tesla team has said, as a matter of fact, that WeRobot, they did tell me that the angled parking will come. They just haven't done it yet. Nice little interaction there in Avondale. No change. Smooth. All right, we have the S-turns coming up here. So, you know, I was on a space yesterday on X. It was a Wolf space hosted about Tesla, and we talk a lot about different things. And a question came up asking me, I believe it was from Meta asked me, can you load up your Cybertruck and do some FSD on curves on a windy road? And this is the only windy road I really have anywhere near me. And what his thought is will the air suspension and the suspension on the Cybertruck be able to handle offset loads on windy roads as it manages it? And it was an interesting thought, and I'll see if I can get some loads. The only kind of load I can think about, I don't have a whole bunch of concrete block. I guess I can go buy some concrete bags or something. And he asked me to put, you know, a significant load up in one corner of the bed, try it, and then in the other corner of the bed and try it, and then a centered load perhaps as a control would be a good thing to do also. I don't know. An interesting thought. I hadn't thought about load, an off-balance load in FSD. Obviously, with a trailer and a hitch, you can't use FSD yet anyway, but just loaded up bed is another interesting thought, especially with the camera down in the Cybertruck. You know, apparently FSD will work with the bed down, but with that rear camera not being available, that surprised me a little bit. I have not tried that yet, that secondhand information. I think I got that from Dirty Tesla, that it will allow you to engage with the bed down. Something I need to try myself, though. All right, so a small little traffic circle here. Little bit busy for this part of town. I got a truck here. Is he turning right? He's very smoothly. No issues. It's very obvious on the Cybertruck, on the jerkiness right here, that its radius of turn is being adjusted. The Model Y was really, really smooth. No issues on that turn there at all. And then we're just taking a quarter of this traffic circle up here to the right, and it shouldn't stop at all unless it looks like one of these cars is doing a full circle, and he's not, and it completely rolled it, and we're taking it to the right. So very smooth, nice speed, controlled a little bit by a lead car, but very, very well executed. Yeah, wow, you know what? This drive is almost over. Got a mail truck up here trying to turn left. Nope, okay, he didn't give me much of an interaction there. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit closer. Up at this light yesterday, this is the light the Cybertruck missed. It's not going to happen today like it did yesterday. I was number one in line for the left turn signal. And the left turn signal had a tiny little green arrow that went green. And I was so busy gabbing like I'm doing right now, I missed the green. I didn't hear a chime, and the car didn't proceed. And right as it turned yellow, I got a honk. Oh, we might get it. Oh, we are going to get it. I'm going to be the lead car. Okay. Oh, perfect. Such a great example. If I, so now we're at an intersection, and I was talking yesterday about the same intersection. We got train tracks. We've got, you know, on the other side, there's only like room for one car in front of the tracks, and the car needs to wait on the back of the tracks. and it's a very dynamic intersection. And if you look at it here on the bird's eye display, you can kind of see there's not real good railroad symbology. We're just kind of using lights. And sometimes the paint markings are mapped, and you do see railroad crossing kind of on the roads. Those aren't being read. Those are mapped, I think. Maybe they're being read, and then there's an asset that applies on top of them. It's not actually an inference kind of a thing. If I'm wrong on that, I apologize. But what happened yesterday is just as I was talking, that little green arrow turned green. It was our turn to go. It looks like we've got about another 10 or 15 seconds based on the crosswalk math. If the Model Y gets it and the Cybertruck didn't, what's the reason? What was missed? Is the camera not seeing the green? I mean, you can definitely see there's the green and the Model Y caught it. So perfect example, 2 days in a row, different vehicles, different software builds, 12.5.5.2, 12.6.1. It didn't see that light yesterday and it saw this one. I might try to make a highlight clip of that yesterday and today just to show the differences and maybe get some thought in the comments, both on X and possibly YouTube. All right, as we come up into this intersection, you see in the other lane, another emergency vehicle, not affecting me at all, but I don't hear any sirens either. I just hear the lights and you see the truck driving by. No symbology yet for emergency vehicles. And of course, in this lane with a divided highway, there was nothing to do anyway. All right, as we proceed through these next lights, it's kind of about time to start thinking about what we think about 12.5.6.1. And I don't know what they fixed. I don't know what scared them from releasing 12.5.6. I can't perceive anything. Obviously, the team sees all the data. They understand there's scenarios. The thing is, it did not go very wide to customers that I am aware of. It went to very few people. Myself, Omar, Homar's blog, Dirty Tesla, Chris, JD, AI Driver, a handful of others that have AI for Model Ys. But actually, I don't know that Omar has an AI for Model Y, so he may not have this. I don't know. I can't tell you why it didn't go wider. I was telling everybody that I thought it was going to go wide just because it was so solid. But then there was that pause and it didn't go any wider. That pause happened at the same time the Wii Robot event happened. So maybe the Wii Robot event got in the way of pushing it wider, but I don't think that's the reason. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gone to this point release. I did not see a lot of ADAS drivers validating this. Maybe they're not validating on my turn anymore, or maybe they're doing different intersections and avoiding my cameras to be a little bit more secretive. I don't know. This could be an ADAS driver right here. Cybertruck, see it? Let me see if I can see that tag. He's got Florida plates. No, that might not be an ADAS driver. I don't know though. I'll have to check my cameras. I don't know what the tags are on the Cybertruck that the ADAS driver drives. I know what the driver looks like. That truck looked a little dirty to be an ADAS vehicle. Looked like it had been off-road a little bit into some mud. Anyway, you can hear the excitement I hear when I see ADAS drivers in the neighborhood because it just means something new is coming. All right, and here we go for our last unprotected forward-facing left, easy roller. The radius of the turn is perfect, no issues there. And yeah, I don't have any issues with that. So I'm going to go ahead and disengage here, and I'm going to do a left-hand turn and just wrap this up. What do you guys think? I think that this is ready to go wide. I don't think there's any issues that I saw today that should stop this. Obviously, I did have a disengagement on the U-turn, and I did have a disengagement on my unprotected left. Both of those were about jumping in front of traffic. The unprotected left, it jumped in front of rapidly approaching traffic, and it didn't give me the acceleration. It should have jumped in the traffic, and I needed to go to the middle lane because it decided to commit. And on the U-turn, it just was going too slow with fast perpendicular traffic coming my way, and I wasn't comfortable to let that situation evolve. So I don't think those are anything to do with this point release. That is just kind of the way it's handling those with its visibility right now. My only recommendation would be if you're not able to go faster on the U-turns, then just don't go until it's completely clear. And if you thought it was completely clear in that scenario because you couldn't see any further, then we have a bigger issue on doing U-turns in high-speed cross traffic. We need to go to an intersection with a light or something else. We can't risk slow U-turns in high-speed cross traffic. Anyway, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys stuck with me. I'm looking down at the camera. What do we got? We got 53 minutes. Any of you made it to 53 minutes? Tell me you made it to 53. That's the number of the day. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next time. So long.